can see right through. You're holding your secrets for way too long. This can't keep going on. With every lie, they keep on hurting you, getting away with everything they do. This can't keep going on. No, we're gonna find them, and I'm gonna fight for you. They better start hiding. We'll be running with the lions, lions. We'll be running with the lions, lions. They can't run, they can't hide. We won't stop until they're down. We'll be running with the lions, lions.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kalpana Sundar, the host of Gloves Off, and welcome to another episode on Sunday. And this week I have a very exciting guest because I have my second international guest. Probably about a month or so ago, we had a guest from Germany, and now this week we have one who is actually Italian, but now currently lives in Barcelona. But before we get into all that, for those of you who have been watching Gloves Off, I welcome you back to the show and glad to have you back here. And for those of you who are new, Gloves Off is a show about people who live courageously and authentically, follow their dreams, follow their passions, do what they were here to do in the world. And that isn't always easy. So I love to showcase the people who are courageous enough to do this. So before we get into our show content today, I want to thank my platinum sponsor, Elevated CPA. So again, if you have tax needs and you don't want to do your own taxes, this may be a good time to contact a CPA. Doug Benefield and Tammy Long, they do a great job. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I'm so excited to get into this content today. But before I get started, I have to say that for those of you who know and who've been watching the show, you probably know by now I don't believe in coincidences. So the interesting thing about our next guest is that I got a message or an invite or an invitation to connect from him. And I thought to myself, what, am I actually seeing this right? Because he worked for Mindvalley, and I am a big fan of Mindvalley. So I am under the impression that I manifest with this connection. So anyway, as I started to look at the invite on LinkedIn, I saw that he was in Barcelona. And at the time, I was actually in Barcelona. And I thought, there is no way that this is a coincidence. It's just too odd that this would happen that way. So anyway, we started messaging back and forth. I thought, wow, wouldn't this be so cool if we could meet while I was actually in Barcelona? Well, it didn't work out because he had flown to Italy. And so we didn't get to meet in person. But what's so great is that we've been connecting via Zoom on a regular basis. He's just such a great guy. So I am excited to introduce him today because he is the founder of Scale for Impact. And it's a marketing agency that is focused on scaling businesses from 7 to 8 figures. And he's worked in the e-learning space for about a decade now. So in addition to Mindvalley, he has also worked with the greats like Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson. So I have to say he's kind of a big deal. So I'm glad to have him on the show today. So welcome to the show, Alessio Pieroni. I hope I said that right. I think I'm pretty good with the Italian pronunciations, but
Pretty well. You did pretty well. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. And as you say, we've been connecting a bit in the past few months, and I'm super happy to go even deeper today.
yes, yes, I'm so happy to have you here. So tell me, say for our audience exactly how you say your name with the Italian accent, because I know I'm not going to do it justice.
I don't think I need to fake accent because I have it already so strong that, it's pretty easy. But Alessio Pieroni.
Okay, I think I did pretty good. I mean, for an American
90%
anyway.
there, you're pretty good.
I was married to an Italian for a couple of decades. So anyway, I've learned to try to pronounce things pretty well. So we're excited to have you here. I love having international guests on the show. So I think your story is so interesting. So let's talk a little bit about your current company. So Scale for Impact, I know it's marketing. I said the basics, but what is it really like deep down inside? What prompted you to do this and start up on your own, and why you feel that there is a need for this kind of company? Each one has its own little unique signature. So I want to hear what is unique.
Absolutely. You know, uh, I always say this. I actually studied marketing in university.
Hmm.
And when I went out of university, I said, I'll do anything beside marketing. I was very clear that that was not the things that I wanted to do. And I don't know, actually something that I read in some newspaper that marketing is one of the worst reputation job in the world. If you look at actually stats of like who do you trust the least, marketing is at the bottom of the ranking. Actually, politicians are above marketers, so it's at that kind of level. And I was having that kind of feeling after I finished university. So I was like, I definitely want to become a marketer. And I tried a lot of different jobs in my career. And then I ended up going to Mindvalley. Probably as you, I was a fan and I was just like, yeah, I want to work there. And then they told me, oh, come here and be a project manager. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's be a project manager, whatever that means. And in the moment, I was like, wow, I absolutely love this thing. And people told me, yeah, you're a great marketer. I'm like, well, really? And I really felt into marketing. But what I actually liked about that, and what actually prompted me also to start my company, is that marketing, it's normal that it's a bad thing because it's like so much power. So many times in our daily life, we are surrounded by incredible marketers that dedicate their life to the wrong brand, the wrong company, the wrong thing, right? And I always felt that, oh wow, if I'm such a great marketer, I should push as much as possible to give voice to the one that really, to the one that deserves it, rather than to the brands that already have huge marketing budget and are maybe not that good and not doing great things for the world. And that's kind of what I've learned in Valley. And when I went out, I'm like, I want to help out all those course creators that have these great messages, this great expertise, that they work probably 20 years in their field, and now they want to share their knowledge with someone in their audience. And that's exactly the thing that told me, okay, I will be happy to be a great marketer and actually use all those crazy and beautiful marketing techniques in a good way in this way.
I
And
love
that's what happened. Yeah.
I love that. So I have a couple of questions. So first of all, I think, the reason that marketing ranks so low and that people don't like it is because people don't like to be sold to, right? Like we always have this little feeling if we're being sold to or marketed to. But I think that things are changing these days. I don't feel like it's the way that it used to be. Marketing feels more genuine and authentic in the ways that there are new companies coming out. People are doing it in a more authentic way. That's just my take on it. And I feel you must be pretty darn good at marketing because you got Mind Valley to contact you. So I think that's a proven point.
I would say he's one of my first mentor. Told me, Alessio, you're not a great seller, but somehow you're incredibly good at make people buying you. And I was like, okay, that's a very interesting one. And that's true. It's like I always had this problem even whenever I was a teenager and I needed to approach girls. I always had that problem of, hey, I'm Alessio, nice to meet you. And, breaking the ice in this first 5 seconds, I was super bad. But once someone get to know me, they somehow like me. And I like to think that it's the same with marketing. And the more you are authentic, the more you are good, the more, obviously, also what make people tick. The more you are able to become a great marketer. And I always say that, to me, marketing is about understanding people. It's about having that kind of knowledge of behavioral psychology, what moves people, what moves certain type of people, especially, right? Especially what's your customer persona and what do they like. And that's it. It's empathy. If you lack empathy, you cannot be a great marketer. Is as simple as that to me. And once you love the product, love the audience, understand the audience, understand how they think, understand everything, and everything is a lot more into a symphony. That's exactly what a great marketing can come. Without those elements, it's very difficult. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true because I could tell you from my experience with you already, I'm not working with you. I mean, of course, I thought about it and I would like to at some point, but I'm still in the process of crafting some like nuances of my brand. So I just, we've been talking, but I've never felt sold to. I've never felt anything that was high pressure. It was really about just getting to know one another and developing some sort of rapport. And I never sensed anything other than that. And that is unusual because I always have my radar up for when somebody's trying to sell to me. Because, on LinkedIn, people are just constantly contacting you to sell to you, sell to you. And I'm like, oh, please leave me alone. So it's interesting that because I'm very intuitive, I can tell when somebody's wanting something and I just immediately shut down. I don't want to talk to them.
No, and in the end, when you sell something to someone, the assumption behind is that that person has a problem, and the product or services I'm giving them is solving that problem. In our case, I felt that the things I was selling was not exactly right for you at this moment. And that's why I was like, I'm always saying that the online education industry is not, so big that there is billions of people that we don't know each other. It's like, in the end, it's a small circle. And I prefer a lot more to be a friend and give free advice and connect for the next 2 years. And then one day, when you will be the next Vishen Lakiani, then I'll be like, I'm sure that because of this connection, because of this advice, whenever you need to hire an agency, you'll think about me. And because that's, in the end, is the thing. It's like it's about solving problems. It's about helping people along the way. And I always believe that the more you put a lot of seeds, the more you'll have results one day. And so that's how it's going.
I would agree with that. I would agree. And it's funny that you brought that up. I remember I told you that one day in a conversation because I got big goals. I mean, let's just face it.
That's it.
I'm like the one that's brave enough to say, I'd like to be the next female Vishen. Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah,
but, so actually, while we're talking about Vishen and Mindvalley, I want to hear a little bit more about what that was like working at Mindvalley for you. How was it when they first contacted you? And let's hear the story about that a little bit.
So before moving to Mindvalley, I used to work in London for Apple. And, Apple was my dream company. I'm a big fan. I got all the iPhones, iPad, Mac. It was like, my dream company. And I remember that one day, Tim Cook arrived in our office and everyone ran to get a selfie with Tim Cook. And I got this selfie with Tim Cook and I was so excited. And that's kind of it. That was the only interaction I've ever had with a CEO. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so far away of the bottom of the pyramid of the biggest company in the world. And I absolutely want to change that. I want to be in a company where I feel that I can make a change, where I feel that I can connect, I can learn from an entrepreneur. And obviously, I would have loved to learn from Tim Cook, but that was too far. And then I said, okay, I want to go somewhere else. And in the moment, I remember that once I was in university, I actually found this speaker that came to a conference where I was. And I was so impressed by the public speaking skills of this guy that I was like, wow, one day I'm going to work for him. And I was pretty lost in my career at that time, that I simply said, okay, that's the day. So I started writing to the company, figured out that actually some people I knew was already working there. And as soon as they knew that I was working for Apple, they were like, okay, come. And so I ended up going there. And I always say that I went from a London salary to a Malaysian salary, because Mindvalley is based in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So I literally was 1/5 of what I was earning in London. So it was a very big step back for me. But I was in a moment in which I was like, I don't care about the step back. I care about finding myself and being in the right environment where I can do that. And I remember that the first day that I arrived in office, they always had this meeting at around 11 a.m. Was a sort of huddle with the entire company. And I arrived, and at the center of the huddle, there was Vision. And he was talking and saying, this email should be done in this way, this app should be done this we should improve this. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want to be surrounded by this creative genius, by this visionary, by this flow of ideas and stuff, where I can actually be every day with that kind of person. And it was incredibly exciting for me to spend 5 years in that environment, because Vision is a visionary, and learning so much from him has been an incredible journey. Yeah.
That's amazing. So it had to be hard to take this, step back financially. And I know that, especially in America, many of us are afraid to do that, to follow our dreams and follow our passions. I have done it several times actually myself, because I had to find what was in alignment for me, because I was a surgeon for so many years. I was making good money, but I just did not feel in alignment with what I was doing. So then I took a step back, decided I wanted to speak, but I knew that wasn't all of it. And then I took another step back, and then I moved to California, and I said, because something didn't feel like it was alignment. And so again, I took a step back, and then I built myself up back again. So now I feel like I'm in the process of fine tuning. And I think this is a really important distinction that people should know about, because and not all of us may have the resources to be able to do that. So I recognize that, and I feel you and I were fortunate that we could. But when you have those resources, I think it's really important to sit back, even if it means that you have to take a financial step back. You may be taking leaps and bounds into your career path. And look at what that's gotten you, right? A little bit of it's lower salary, but that experience and working with Mindvalley and Vision is amazing.
I always say, especially in your 20s, never look at your salary, just look at the ROI.
That.
And to me, that was kind of the thing. It was like, what's been the return on investment of me moving to Malaysia, working with such a creative genius, finding what I like, creating an incredible skill, being able to start my company in the field, and now being able to run a very successful company, hiring a very big team, like living my dream, being an entrepreneur, thanks to that move. And by the way, like, I completely switched my career before I was in HR and recruiting. I think something that I was hating. So if somehow I would have decided to stay in Apple, stay in London, stay in recruiting, today I might be a miserable middle manager somewhere that I'll be like, oh my God, I absolutely hate this job. Why am I doing this? I hate my job. And taking that step was incredible if I look at perspective wise. And yeah, for sure. Like in that moment, I remember when I called my mom and I said, that the opportunity in Apple was not what I wanted anymore. I wanted something else. That was the moment in which, like, my mom was like, "Hey, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Working the number one company in the world, and you go for this company and no one knows in Malaysia." And I'm like, "Yes, I believe that that company is the company for me."
That's
And
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, because leaving Apple is like not an easy thing. It's kind of like when I left surgery
oh
and,
my God.
and being a doctor,
And,
people are like, what are you doing? I mean, my dad even says to me, he goes, what, you want to like have your own TV show? This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. He's like, you're a surgeon for heaven's sake. And it's the same thing that I went through. So I understand that very well. So you didn't live in Malaysia, did you?
I did. I
Oh, you
did 5 years.
did. So you had to move to Malaysia from London, and
Yeah.
that's got to be a big culture shock.
Uh, well, I would say this before living 5 years in Malaysia. Before London, I was living 1 year in India, which that was a huge cultural shock. So Malaysia was sort of softer than India, I will say so. Uh,
I didn't know
but
you lived in India. Why were you in India?
yeah, well, because and here is my randomness of my career. In my first few years, I was a journalist in India. And I was working for a company similar to TechCrunch, but for the Indian market. And I was writing about startups, entrepreneurship, and social enterprises. The company's name, Your Story. And it was an incredible experience, and that taught me so much. And actually, London was almost too normal after India. So Malaysia was a great mix, actually. It was a great mix between that novelty, adventure of Asia, but also that, very good and developed city that you have, like as London. So I loved it. I found my wife in Malaysia. I found so many friends. I had a fantastic 5 years there, and it's been one of the best experiences I've ever had. Yeah.
So that really was a major shift for you because not only was it in alignment to your soul's calling of what you wanted to do for your career purpose, you met your wife there. So, and she's Malaysian?
She's Russian. Yeah,
Oh, she's Russian. Okay, okay. But how funny is that you both were there?
absolutely.
So how did that happen? Were you in the same company, just randomly
Yeah,
met?
she was working for Mindvalley as well,
Oh,
and she was in tech. So she was heading the tech team. I was heading the marketing team, and yeah, the very fun story is that while we were in university, we were in the same organization, and we actually met already 3 times. The first one was in India, the second one in Kenya, the third one was in Russia, and for 3 times we were in these big conferences, and we sort of were Facebook friends. We probably spoke like 5 minutes in total, and then we ended up working for the same company. And obviously, you can connect the dots just looking backwards. But when we connect the dots, it's like, whoa, really, the universe was really saying, guys, how many occasions do I need to give you for you to actually meet and start talking, start dating, and start. And now the fun fact is that as soon as I arrived there, since she was one of my few people that I know there, after 1 month, we already started dating. So the entire experience has been together, and yeah, it's been a completely life shifting experience, I would say. Yeah.
that is so cool. So does she speak Italian or do you speak Russian? Neither one. You both speak English?
Well, she's learning Italian, but we speak English, and I definitely don't speak Russian.
Yeah, Russian is hard, especially for an Italian.
Russian.
So I want to hear a little bit more about your. Well, first of all, before I even move on, I mean, I have to acknowledge that is the greatest story, and it just goes to show you how following your heart instead of your wallet can lead to a beautiful return on investment. And I love that. I may have to, I will credit you for it, but I think that's a fabulous phrase
Yeah,
because we don't think of it in that way. And
absolutely.
and maybe because again, remember like you said, connecting the dots backwards is a lot easier. And
Yeah.
I even think it's really weird how we met because I have to tell you, I have had
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
again, it's like I've always been fascinated with vision and Mind Valley. And then when you reached out to me, and I was like, "Is this a joke?" Like
But
literally, I'm like constantly thinking about this because I would love to meet Vishen. I've said that over and over again. I mean, even just listening to you talk about him, how he's like organizing the things, that's how I am. And I was like, I feel like he and I have a lot in common because that
uh,
was how I was in my medical practice. I was like, okay, now this isn't efficient and I don't want it done this way. And I'd start in the morning, I'd be like, okay, so this is how you guys are going to do things. This is how you guys are going to do things. And this is how the day's going to go, blah, blah, blah. I've got this to do this. And that was me. So it just is kind of funny how that works. But
yeah.
aside from all that business conversation, because I can get really excited about business, I want to hear about, so where exactly in Italy did you grow up?
So I grew up from a very small town in a very small region named Marche, which I don't expect you to know. And most of all the Italians, when you say where I'm from, they're like, where exactly? So definitely, it's not
So
a
small.
touristic area. But what I would say is that it's a very beautiful one. It's actually very similar to Tuscany. It's just that we don't have any big town or cities, so no one come as a tourist there, which is fantastic if you're looking for a place that's not touristic. And but I always say that is uh, it's a fantastic culture where I grew up, like very family oriented, very hardworking, strong work ethic, strong community vibe.
Hmm.
Um, I will say that I grew up a lot in that environment, and it taught me so many values that I try to bring in different sides and different things. And yeah, that was beautiful. That was something I'm grateful for.
I love Italy. So it's funny, I was actually thinking about this within this last week how, number one, before COVID, I used to go to Europe quite a bit. I love traveling the world because I'm very fascinated with cultures. And I've traveled, to every continent except Australia. So
Mhm.
that's the only one on my bucket list. But I was actually feeling called to go back to Italy and France, sometime maybe later this year. And I was even thinking to myself, I'd love to go to either the Amalfi Coast or Tuscany, and I really wasn't sure where to go. But I love the idea of experiencing something that's not touristy. And
Mhm.
whenever I travel, I really try to find these off the beaten track places to go because I don't like traveling as an American. I like to immerse myself in their culture, try to speak the language, try their foods. I don't want people to some Americans I feel like when we travel to another country, we expect the world to cater to us, but I don't feel that way. I'm like it's my job to try to fit in with the culture I'm in. So when I was in Africa, I did the same thing.
Beautiful.
Honestly, India, it's so funny. Going to India is funny for me because I'm Indian, but I feel so un-Indian.
Yes, I can imagine.
It's almost weirder than going to a completely different country.
Totally,
Because
totally.
I look like them, but I am not like them because I'm in
This is really
America.
where I'm coming from, really?
It's so funny. But yeah, so I'll have to connect with you later and figure out what I'm going to do on this trip to Italy. And you'll have to tell me some really quaint, non-touristy places to visit. And, maybe, and I'll have to create a little trip for myself. So that'll be awesome.
Absolutely, I love it. I love to be your touristic guide. That's good.
That'd be great. And then, so your family still lives in Italy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My family. Well, here is a fun story. Just for people to understand a bit my culture where I'm coming from. Uh, you know, you are what, second generation American, yes. For me, I don't have anyone in my family that I know that is outside my town, and we're talking about a 15,000 people town. And if I go back to my great 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 grandfather, everyone is from there. So I always, to me, it's very fascinating when I hear, yeah, my father is French, my mom is American, and I'm like, whoa, okay. For me, it's like everyone is from the same town, not the same country. And but that's also kind of say how odd it was for me to go out, explore the world, go to India, go to Malaysia, go to doing this thing, and how crazy it was also for my family, right? Because definitely it's not common. Yeah.
That is very interesting because also, so my father came to America, so I'm first generation in this country. But, I can kind of understand what you are saying because, again, before my parents came to America, all of our ancestors are Indian and everybody is from the same kind of general area in India where I grew up, where, I was born, I should say.
Yeah.
So I was born in Bangalore. I don't know where you spent time when you were in India.
In Bangalore.
Oh my God.
Fantastic. No kidding. Okay. I love it. Okay.
So because that's the tech hub, so that's I
You speak
figured.
Canada? Speak Canada a bit?
Not really. So this is a funny story that I'd love to share with you. So when I was growing up, my mom was born in Bangalore. I was born in Bangalore. My father was born in Mysore. So they
Okay.
Kannada is the proper language, but my mom spoke Tamil. If you're
Okay.
familiar. So they're both in that general area. And my father spoke Kannada. They used to speak to us in Tamil. And then Kannada was something that my mom and dad spoke to each other when they had secrets that they didn't want us to know.
Oh, the secret language. I love it.
Is their secret language that they didn't think we understood. So anything they wanted to talk about, that's what they spoke in. So finally, I mean, I kept the secret for years. And finally, when I was about 12 or 13, I tell my parents, I still understand Kannada. And they're like,
No way. No way. Ah, that's smart. I love it. I love it.
growing up, I spoke a bunch of different languages, and I don't speak anything anymore because I know everybody's going to wonder.
Yeah.
But growing up, I spoke Tamil, I spoke Kannada, and
Wow.
I spoke Hindi. And then when I came to America, of course, I learned English. But then what happened was that when my parents came to America, and I was the oldest, so I was speaking such good English that they wanted to learn how to speak English. So
Oh,
what happened was they were speaking to me in English, I was speaking with them in English, and there went the languages.
nice.
It's great that at least you can go home and speak Italian to your family, which
Yeah,
is
that's true.
wonderful.
That's true. That's true. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So yeah, it's a small world out there where we start to talk about languages and stuff. So I even forgot what we were talking about. I got all involved with my little story about my family and Canada. But India, I just think it's great that you went to India. I didn't know that you had gone to India, which I think is so cool. So how did you make then the transition from did you go right from Malaysia to Barcelona?
Oh, so funny enough, I decided to leave Mindvalley in January 2020,
Oh,
when the world was a normal place.
okay.
And I give my resignation letter, and literally my last day in office is like 20th of March 2020. I literally started the company in lockdown. So it's just like, what the hell did I do? I had a fantastic job with a fantastic salary, with a great area, with great friends and stuff. And now I start my entrepreneurship career, and the entire world is probably, that zombie things happening outside. What the hell am I gonna do? Um, but on the other hand, I would say that it kind of I pushed it a bit on the other side, and I say to myself, well, wait a second, but I'm starting my business. I need to hustle. And right now I have no excuses because I'm home. I don't do anything else. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's get to work. And it has been fantastic. And yeah, it has been a beautiful experience. And actually, a lot of people were moving online in that moment because they had a physical business. They need to move online. So it was actually a great way to kickstart my company, and that helped me out a lot. So I've been able to be part of a lot of great projects since the beginning because of that, and that allow us to have a fantastic experience start, and from there scale up the company. Yeah.
So was Mind Valley supportive when you left?
Yeah. Well, I will say this that I mean, I just have words of gratitude for Vision, because it literally gave me the first two clients. It for me was a mentor throughout the entire experience. He helped me grow so much. Sometimes obviously you might have that conflict, you might have that debate, you might have that different way of thinking. But I would literally say like 95% of the time, it's like it was giving me so much freedom to do the things I wanted. If we were debating on something, we would always agree and figure out a way. So it was an amazing experience on that, and it was incredibly supportive also in helping me out and starting my business with these first two clients. And
That's amazing. That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because sometimes leaders will be so micromanaging in their style. And to me, that's not even a true leader. So it sounds like, Vishen is really not only a visionary, but he's really a true leader where he gave you the freedom to express yourself in the way and that you needed to get the job done. So it sounds like you had guidelines, but not micromanaging. Am I correct on that?
I would say this, that sometimes vision, no, not to me, but in maybe another area of the company might micromanage something. But I guess that what I did very well and why I was never micromanaged was because he knew he could trust me. So I was very quick and very good in gaining trust. And I think that after the first 2-3 months of working together, it was like, okay, I can step back. You can do it, right? And so I would say that with me has been always fantastic. Obviously, there were other areas in which he wasn't satisfied with the results, and then he would jump in, right? As a normal entrepreneur will do. Like, frankly, the same in my company, right? If something is not working, I need to fix it. But I would say that with me has been always fantastic, and it was there to give me advice. It was there to give me, feedbacks and stuff. But I would say it was fantastic as a leader.
That's great. And also, I think when you're really a leader, you really have to care for the people that you're leading. And it isn't just about what they can do for you. To me, like when, I didn't have a company like Mindvalley, but just in my medical practice, I had people leave because something was more in alignment for them than that they felt like they had to do, or they were having a family or starting a family, or something would change in their world. And I remember that in the beginning of my leadership, I was angry, but as I evolved as a leader and as a human being, what I noticed was I stopped being angry about those things and realized that this is really a testament that during the time at my company and within the confines of what we had, these people were able to grow in an authentic way. So if they moved on to something else, then I felt that I've done my job properly as a leader, and that they felt comfortable to, leave and do what they want to do to help to flourish in their own lives. Because at the end of the day, it's not all about me and my company. And it's a hard thing to realize when you're an entrepreneur.
Totally. No, and is vision, but everyone on Mindvalley is still a very great part of our family for me. I always make every year the time to go to a Mindvalley event to reconnect with the people, to spend time with everyone, because as you say, it's like obviously professionally we might have decided that we don't work anymore together, but personally the things we share, the value, the mission, the vision, that entire thing, I still feel it's part of me.
That's amazing. Yeah. So the next, so the Mindvalley events, they're probably hard to get into, right? Is it A-Fest that you're talking about, or?
Fest, yes. I've been to, I think, 6 or 7 of them. Mindvalley University as well. So this year I'm going to go to Mindvalley University in July. And it's an incredible event. It's like if any one of you is looking for a great week of connection with incredible people, it's happening in Estonia, I think, 3 weeks in July. And you can choose even to go just for 1 week. But it's fantastic because if you have kids, there is a kids track where your kids will be trained by people like, I don't know, Marissa Peer or Shefali Sabari or Vishen. And then there is the adult track where there are incredible sessions, very experiential, very beautiful. And I think everyone always finds his own path in these events because the community is fantastic. The lessons are incredible. And I don't know, for me, it's always a must to go every year. Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds actually quite incredible. And I have never been to Estonia, but it looks beautiful.
It looks incredibly cute. It is.
It's beautiful. Who knows? Maybe if it's not too late, maybe I have to join that.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I'll message you about some details later. I'm like, ooh, this sounds interesting. I'm always looking for a great place, someplace in the world I haven't been to go, and that
Nice.
might be a great opportunity. Who knows? But
Nice.
so, what are the insights that you'd like to share about your life experience? You know, anything that's relevant and pertinent. That if there's somebody, because we often struggle when I would say that many of us who are in tune know that there's something else calling us. But we tend to get stuck in the shoulds of what we should do. And we tend to get stuck in fear. And then like it escalates. And then you're in this vicious loop. How do you suggest that people get out of that loop of fear and self-doubt to, you know, conquer the thing that they really want to do in their life?
Okay, I'm gonna go a bit deep here. So I'll say this is obviously very difficult to, you know, give lessons of life, but I'll share my life lesson. So when I was 16, I lost my brother in a car accident, and my brother was 19, and you know, obviously 3 years different. We grew up together, same room, same everything, right? So my best friend, my brother, from one day to another, and 19 gone. And that to me obviously was a huge shock. But that to me was an incredibly life-changing moment because I I realized a lot of things. You know, in my family, I was always the little one. I was always the protected one. I was always the one that, for sure, yes, I was not stupid or anything, but it's like I was definitely not destined to great things. I would have never thought that I wouldn't speak English back then. I wasn't never traveled. I didn't have any sign that will say that, oh my God, Alessio is going to do great things. But that moment really made me understand, wow, I have a lot of strengths inside that I needed to take out also to help my family in the moment. Uh, and on the other hand, it gave me the biggest gift, which was urgency, which is like, hey, even if you're 19, it might all end up tomorrow. And I tattooed this sentence on my arm that says, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Think as if you were to live forever." And that one is exactly the life philosophy and how I make these decisions. It's like, if tomorrow I'm gonna do the same thing that I did today and I hate it today, should I really continue doing this? And um, and that's why I was like, you know, I don't like this. I want to travel the world. Let's go there. You know what? I want a strong experience. Let's go 1 year in India. Oh, you know what? I want to work in a corporate. Let's work with the number one company in the world. Oh, you know what? I'm not happy in this company. Who cares? Let's go in that company because I think it's better. You know what? Let's start a business during pandemic. And maybe tomorrow it will be like, hey, you know what? I don't like anymore my business. I'll sell it. I'll do something else. You know, it's if for some reason, um, you know, life doesn't bring you the things that you need, move. And again, there is not a life lesson that they say people should do this because, you know, because I'm the best. And you know it. To me, it happened to me. At that time, it was absolutely the worst thing on earth. But without that, I would haven't done any of the things that I've done. So yeah, life sometimes slaps in the face, but sometimes it was just like actually redirecting you somewhere else.
I have to say that everything you said resonated so much with me because I don't know how you grew up, but you know, I grew up in a way that I was always told you make a decision, you make it for life. So any decision that didn't go with that was kind of a problem for me to deal with internally. I mean, I knew I wanted to do something different, but it was hard for me to go against the grain of what my family thought and all of those things. But I agree with you. I think that in life, if something isn't working, you have the ability to change it. So you started a business in the pandemic. I actually left my medical practice to start a freestanding med spa around the pandemic. It didn't work out. But you know what? I don't think it was supposed to, because I don't think that was really my true calling. I was just going towards something that was like what I was doing, but a little bit better.
Okay.
And that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So when that didn't work out, it forced me to say, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
And what I really wanted to do was leave Florida and come to California. And so I've been here 6 months. And honestly, I thought to myself just the other day, I said, I know that I'm supposed to be here. I knew this was the next right step, but I don't really know if I'm supposed to stay here. So that question came into my mind. And I'm really willing and ready, if whatever sign or whenever it's clear to me, if I need to move, I'm willing to move, because whatever I'm doing, I can do from wherever in the world I want to be. So it's not an issue for me. But I'm so interested in following my heart's calling and my intuition. And when I'm confused or don't know, I stay put. But the clarity eventually comes. And then there's a direction that's very clear and guiding. And when that comes, and if it tells me to stay, I'm going to stay. If it tells me to go, I'm going to go. So that's the way I live my life now. And that's just come with some years of doing it the other way and not really being very satisfied.
I love it. I love it. No, and is you're not a tree. If you need to move. And I will say, I believe that people that will achieve the things that they will achieve is because they question themselves. When you'll be 90, on your deathbed, how many regrets would you have? Because, I always thought I should have moved to California, but I never did. Well, at least you tried. Maybe you'll go back to Florida, but at least you'll say, hey, you know what? I tried and I'm glad I did it. Now I know that Florida is my place. Fine. Or maybe Estonia is a place. Who knows?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go there. I feel like this is a sign that I need to go to that. So anyway, I think that, and I've been wanting to get out of the country and go travel a little more. So who knows? It might be the right time. But it's interesting because when we leave this opening, it's amazing what shows up. And just because I asked myself that question, I thought, it doesn't matter. I'm now unattached to the outcome. Because the minute you're attached to the outcome, you stifle everything. And now I've gotten so good at not being attached to the outcome. I know what the end goal is, where I want to be. How the rest of the path looks is irrelevant to me. And I like to now say it's above my pay grade. I don't need that. It's above my pay grade. And the thing you said about the regret on your deathbed. So I don't think you know this about my story, but when I was 34 and just starting my medical practice, I had thyroid cancer. So I had thyroid cancer, and again, I didn't even know about chakras back then and the fifth chakra, not speaking or living my truth. And during that moment after the surgery, I had a complication where my calcium dropped, and I was rushed to the hospital. I almost died. And in that moment of almost dying, so it's funny how these like life experiences that are tragic in some way reshape us to be better versions of ourselves. So in that moment, I said, I was almost dying, and I thought, I have so many regrets right now. I mean, so many. And I said, if I live, I want to live every day without regrets. So I wake up every morning and I do a self-check. I wake up and of course, I do all my routines, but I say, do I have any regrets right now? If I died in this very moment, do I have any regrets? And thankfully, every day I wake up, if I have a regret, I do something to change it. And if I don't, well, great, I'm on the right path.
No, and it's sad that we need to go through certain things to have that urgency, but it changes everything. It changes everything. And for someone that hasn't been going through something like that, I know that this conversation will be like, but I don't know, that wouldn't resonate. But if you have anyone that's close to you that has been going through something, or yourself had a near-death experience, that changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, I feel like I could talk to you for the next 5 hours, but I know you have another thing that you have to get to, so I want to be respectful of your time. This has been such an amazing conversation. I knew it would be, and I have to say, on so many levels, I knew that we had probably more connection points than I realized, but it took this in-depth getting to know you to really bring it to the forefront and understand what they were. So it's really cool when you find that out. So, definitely, if you don't mind, send me the details, after when you get a chance, because I may just wind up in Estonia at that event with you.
I love it. I love it. I'll definitely do that. And I hope that we'll meet in person. That this
I
time
know,
will happen.
that would be great. It would be so wonderful. And it's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you today as a guest on Gloves Off. You have really, you really just, I've always loved the Italians and the Italian culture, but one of the things I've always loved is that you are, as a culture, you're very open. And you in particularly, I felt, have always had this warmth about you, which I really appreciate. So, thank you for bringing that to the show so that our audience, people who have not witnessed, being in Italy, could get a flavor of what that's really like.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much, Kaplan. It's been fantastic for me being here.
Yes. Thank you. And you have a wonderful rest of the evening, and hopefully I'll see you in Estonia.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. He is just so fantastic. And I knew that the minute we connected on LinkedIn. So it just goes to show you, if you don't put yourself out there in the world, nothing great really happens. So one thing I'd love to leave you guys with today is, after that wonderful conversation, if there's anything that you've been dying to do, have dreamed about doing, feel like you're called to do, maybe it's really time to just take the plunge and do it, because life is short and you don't want to live with regrets. So just like Alessio's story, where he had, the loss of his brother, which is so tragic at such a young age, and then my cancer, we have this one go at it. So we might as well make it the best that it could possibly be. So to get off my soapbox, a couple of announcements that I wanted to let you guys know about. First of all, I had actually changed my YouTube channel to drkalpana.unbound. There were a couple of reasons for this. And one of the reasons was that I tend to want to do different things all the time. So I just felt like it needed to be all under one brand. So on that YouTube channel is not only episodes from the show Gloves Off, but I'm going to really start posting more and more content on there about my thoughts on things, my opinions, day-to-day stuff. And I want you guys to be a part of that. So please, if you're watching this on E360 TV, please also follow me on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook. So I look forward to seeing you there. And again, I always love the comments and the feedback. So anyway, with that being said, our next week's guest is going to be Michael Schlossman. So he has also a very interesting journey too. He was a film producer, and he's gone through many iterations of his life, but had a kind of tragic story where he fell into addiction and basically came out of that and really reinvented his life. What I love about talking with him is that he is also a very deep person, has undergone quite a few transformations in his life. And I think those are the stories that I'm drawn to for whatever reason that is. So that being said, I want you guys to tune in next Sunday at Gloves Off at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This episode is a little shorter because, Alessio had another call, and it's hard to deal with the time differences in other countries. But one of the things I do plan on doing is having more international guests on the show. So please tune in. And again, if you have friends that you think would like this content, would benefit from it, please send them here. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week on Gloves Off, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.